Hey, welcome guys. Derek James here, and I'm your host today on episode 2 of FBO Live, Fed Biz Opps, where I demonstrate how to read and respond to FBO opportunities so that you can grow your very own government contracting business. Shout out to you guys today watching on YouTube, and also those of you who are listening now on podcast. Make sure you check out the links down in the description for the downloads from today's episode. If you guys have been following some of the earlier episodes before this actually became a show, I kind of did everything off the cuff, but now I'm actually using 2 documents that are available for download, as I said at the end of the show. I have these captured questions that we walk through, high-level stuff, and then actually we go through a proposal template walkthrough and layout. So, at the end of each episode, we kind of fill this out as we go, and you'll have a proposal template. We don't do full-blown proposals because that would just take entirely too long and it's not very practical. So the best thing I can do for you guys is give you a bit of a skeleton, and if it's something that you find that you like, you can download that from any of the episodes. I just ask for a small donation to the show that will allow me to keep doing this, and lets me know that you guys are benefiting from what I'm creating for you. So on today's episode, as you can see, I've already been scrolling a bit. We're looking at snow removal services. It's October 12th. I heard that this past week, some places out in the West already got some blizzards. This is actually out of Minnesota. Definitely, an area that gets snow sooner than most. So, we're getting to be in that time of year. So I thought, why not, in the spirit of things getting much colder and Halloween approaching, and then just the whole trail of holidays hitting after that we could take a look at this opportunity today. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So as mentioned, we're looking at Minnesota. This is a multi-site, so I believe, just doing a quick look, I think there's like 8 locations here, but we'll find out much more specifically in this solicitation. We know this is Fort McCoy, which I just knew off the top of my head is out of Wisconsin, in terms of the contracting office. But then the places of performance, as we're just seeing right here, we have Brainerd, Minnesota, Buffalo, Duluth, Mankato, Wabasha, Wilmer, and Worthington. So let me just do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, it looks like they've got 7 locations identified here. So that'll be important, and we'll look into that more, I'm sure. What I like to do first off is, since we have our worksheets that we're working from, first when we have our captured questions, so we can fill out a lot of this, right off the cuff here. First one being solicitation number, and that's always just, so basic, but also something that you're going to refer to many times. And then the next is the response date. When is this thing due? October 22nd. So today's the 12th. That gives you a full 10 days. And it was posted yesterday. So October 22nd, this is due. Should be adequate time to, if you're getting quotes, or if you're, a landscaping company yourself that does snowplow in this area, should give you enough time to, visit the sites. There's probably going to be site visits. Let me take a look at the set aside. It's saying the set aside is woman-owned small business. So, if you're not a woman-owned small business, you shouldn't even waste your time looking at this, because you're not going to be able to bid it. And the NAICS code, they have administrative and support services, which is not the most accurate. 561,790, and that's why I always want to look. I'm always kind of curious, and the main thing is the size standard associated with that, and we'll take a look at that when we get into solicitation documents, depending on what they have. And just quick fill out into the scope section of this capture form. We'll just say snow. What are they calling it? They're just calling it snow removal services. and this is multi-site Minnesota. So as you can see, this form always goes really quickly. The Fbo Summary Page here on Fed Biz Opps always offers, typically offers a good amount of information, not always, so that you can get a lot of this answered without even having to open any of the attachments. And you can see on this, I'll just take a quick glance. In terms of attachments, they have an SF 1449 solicitation. They have 1-2 amendments. They have a pricing spreadsheet, it looks like. It's probably in Excel. They've got drawings. They have some sort of attachment at OPSEC, might be more drawings. They've got an example snow service ticket, probably what you would use when you're actually doing the work. They've got some sort of trifold thing here. We'll see what that is eventually. And then they've got a wage determination. So we do know that this is some sort of waged governed contract, most likely a Service Contract Act, SEA wage determination. So those are all attachments that we have. Let me just take a quick look here. At the very beginning of the Fbo Summary Page, they start talking about the site visits. So the October 15th, which is, when is October? Man, my calendar, I've got so many calendars. It looks like some of them are still on September. But yeah, Tuesday looks like October 15th. So they've got their first site visit on Tuesday in Worthington and Wilmer. Then the next day in Duluth, Mankato, and Wabasha. And then Brainerd and Buffalo is the following day. So it looks like this coming week, if you're going to bid this thing, you need to get your head in the game and plan on visiting those locations 3 days in a row. You either have to, if you're a landscaping company, it's going to take a lot of your time, but that's probably okay because, a lot of your summer seasonal services are probably already wrapped up if you're in this area, and there's probably not snow falling yet. So you're probably, in between seasons here. So you probably have the time to check this out. Or if you're, working with subcontractors, as I said, same situation for them, but you just got to have them go to the site visits and, they'll be able to, provide their pricing to you. But this week is, it's happening. So site visits, super important information. And I believe I've got a site visit on the sidebar here of the capture management form where we can add site visit details. We'll just say October 15th through the 17th for all locations. Just as I'm going amendments, we know that we have 2 amendments. So I'm adding that to the form as well. And as I make my way through the Fbo Summary Page, let me see what else I can gather here. Period of performance starts November 1st, which is why they are, let me see. Did I not add? Oh, it's right here. It's right in front of me. Period of performance, November 1st, which is why, was what I was going to say. They're kind of cramming everything into this week because then after that, the bids are going to be due, and then they need time to evaluate them for, whatever the pricing strategy is going to be. It can be a quick turnaround or it might take a little bit longer. It just kind of depends. So what else do we have here? Yeah, we know it's woman-owned. Oh, then they also saying, I skipped over it, the period of performance is 1 November. Yes, we know that. But then it also says with 4 1-year options and 1 6-month option to extend services. So that's like 5.5 years because you have a base year and then you have 4 option years and then 1 additional 6-month to extend, which probably means like if they, get in trouble with contracting or whatever, it'll buy them another season so that they can get it, procured and solicited and all that stuff. It's probably just, a fail-safe for them. Or it could be a bucket of money that they use for if they get more snow than what they expect. I don't know if they can do that contractually. I would have to see how they actually have that, laid out. Because, borrowing money doesn't usually work very well when it's attached to pricing cleanse. So I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of speculating here at this point. I don't know why I keep. So I want to add to our period of performance. It's November 1st, but then we're going to add 4 option years plus 1 6-month option to extend. So let me see here. In contracting, we have Todd Dempsey. Can update that. That's contracting specialist. So you guys, you see how quickly all this information just really throws itself at you. We haven't even opened up a single attachment yet. But it looks like I'm pretty happy with all of the introductory information that we have. And, really, I would have a pretty strong idea of already if this is something that I would want to bid or not. But, filling out the rest of these capture questions, we're going to look at the proposal requirements and, just more about the statement of work. And that's really going to, solidify, if you're doing a bid, no bid decision, what you're going to, based on the information, what you're going to decide. So I'm pretty much done scrolling around the summary page here. I know I'm scrolling a lot. I read really fast, so sometimes I miss things. I will note that they have one change, and it just says added, please contact Janet Engel for email submission and questions. So that could mean that our Mr. Dempsey fellow is going to be out or something, Todd Dempsey. So I'll just, I'll add that to contracting information and add Janet Engel in there as well. So it looks like she's backing him up. Making sure that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, in terms of the change, that's all that I really see. So I don't want to delay any further. I just want to hop right into the solicitation, guys. This is where there's going to be a lot of pertinent information, I hope. We open right up here with a SF 1449 form, which I love to see. It's a fairly common form. It's what I use to basically teach people, although you don't always see this form. So it looks like they've got it extended to 3 pages long, and we'll walk through it really quickly. They've got the always make sure that the response date matches what they have, because sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, they're saying here as well, the offer is due October 22nd. They've got the NAICS code, and the size standard on this is something that I wanted to call out. It's $8 million size standard. So, your average total revenues for this NAICS code over the trailing past 3 years shall not exceed, this $8 million. Otherwise, you've blown this size standard. So, most people probably haven't, especially in this line of work. Jobs are not usually huge, but I don't know. So I'm just calling it size standard. That's why that's there, and that's what that means. They've checked. Yep, this is a woman-owned small business, and we already know this is out of Fort McCoy. So that's the first page of the SF 1449. I have some information up on the on my website. If you need to know how to fill this out, you don't fill out all these boxes. There's just a number of them that I call out in red, and I've got a blog post up that shows you how to do that on my website. So the second page, you only ever fill this out if you've got amendments that you need to acknowledge. And sometimes they don't even do that on this particular page. Sometimes you do it on the amendment itself. But on the page 3, SF 1449 continuation sheet, they've got some information on here. So let's take a look at what they're saying. They're saying an award for this requirement will be made pursuant to FAR 13.5 simplified procedures for certain commercial items. So I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I'm familiar with simplified procedures, especially in terms of like SAP, simplified acquisition. So we will Google this momentarily. Next, quote shall be emailed to, Janet Engel. So they're putting Janet in here. So it looks like our Todd Dempsey fellow is probably out of commission for this. Next, the period of performance. They want your price to be good for 90 days after you submit it. And then they restate the site visit dates, times, and locations. So that is helpful, and it also is repeated. Additional information for site visits. That's all good. Number 5, written questions. Okay, so that's something that would have been really easy to overlook, but I'm glad that we stopped. So your questions are due by October 18th. So questions, basically, it gives you time to go through the site visit is what I'm gathering here, because as you see, the site visit goes through October 17th, and then questions are due by the next day. So basically, the government's committing, time and manpower to have point of contacts go on the site visits and answer any questions, and then those questions are going to be basically put up back on here as an update or an amendment for you all to look at who are bidding after October 18th. They'll probably post them on the 19th or something, or the following Monday. So, but it looks like this form they would want you to fill out. This is not a very common continuation sheet that I've seen, but they've got a blank space here for your DUNS number, your taxpayer ID, and your cage code. So that's basically the easiest information to fill out as possible. You should have all those memorized, to be honest. So actually, when you would go to submit, you would take these 3 pages. It looks like it's just 3 pages, and you fill them out, and you attach them to your proposal submission. If assuming you have to do proposal submission, we haven't gotten into it, but assuming that's the case. They have another question. This requirement is eligible for payment through GFibs, so you would just check yes or no if you can accept payment through GFibs. You need to be in SAM. We already know that. You need to have a DUNS number, and you have your NAICS code updated in your SAM profile, 561790. The rest of this looks like it's FYI information. And then I'm stopped here on the next page, information for evaluation. So, you know what? Before I get ahead of myself, let me go to Google as promised. And do I still have that? Yeah, FAR 13.5, Simplified Acquisition Procedures. So that's all that they're referring to is the SAP. So if you're not familiar with Simplified Acquisition, I don't know. Let me just read this to you before I comment. So it's just this one short little paragraph, just a couple of sentences, and I'm in, actually in the farsite.hill.af.mil. This part prescribes policies and procedures for the acquisition of supplies and services. This includes construction, research and development, and commercial items, the aggregate amount of which does not exceed the simplified acquisition threshold. Subpart 13.5 provides special authority for acquisitions of commercial items exceeding the simplified acquisition threshold, but not exceeding $7 million. Okay, I'm actually glad they put that in there, because I know that simplified acquisition only goes up to $250,000. And if this is for 7 locations, I know that it's going to be larger than that. So I was like, really? How are they going to call this a simplified acquisition when the dollar value is not comparable? So they're telling us there's a subpart 13.5 that makes it allowable for 7 million. So I did not know that. Nobody knows all of the FAR. So I'm always learning, and I like to check those out. So I'm glad that we took a glance over at that. But other than that, simplified acquisition procedures means that you're probably not going to have to do a big proposal. You might not even have to do a proposal at all. They might only want pricing. And the pricing may not be that complicated. And literally, you could just submit them pricing and, fill out this information, these first 3 pages of the SF 1449. Let me see, do they have pricing cleanse in here? I thought that they might. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's much later. It's on page 22 of 70, but they have pricing cleanse that you're gonna have to fill out. So yeah, your whole submission may be just filling this form out, and then there was an Excel pricing spreadsheet that we saw in the attachment. So I know that we're gonna have to fill that out, and we'll look at that as we go through the attachments. But so we just got a lot of really good information. Because this is simplified acquisition, I already know this is not going to be a big proposal response. And for things like this, it's hard to even come up with a technical response. Sometimes they would want resumes, or a plan, like a conflict resolution plan if something happens. So let me get back to where we left off. So last thing I was gonna pick up at was So the section supplements clauses 52.212-1 and -2. Okay, so that doesn't really tell us too much. But technical factors. The solicitation shall be evaluated by awarding to the quote that is technically acceptable and lowest price. So, bingo, lights are going off. They just told us something very, very important. And I need to add that on our sheet here. This is LPTA, lowest price technically acceptable. So lowest bidder found to be acceptable is going to win this 7 location contract. So if you're getting quotes, you need to make sure that you get competitive pricing. And, if you're doing it yourself, you I don't know, like it's up to you how much markup you want to put on it. But just know that lowest price is going to win. And you're going to be, dealing with some local people probably. The closer you are, the lower the price, right? Because you don't have to, include travel or, as much middleman type things. So updated that to our procurement strategy that this is not going to be a best value. And I did not think it was. And also in terms of simplified acquisition, lowest price is, usually the way that they go with it. So I'm not surprised to see that at all. So next, let me see. So technical factor evaluation, each item and technical requirements table will receive one of the ratings defined below. Any rating that receives a U will result in an overall unacceptable rating for the factor and are not eligible for the award. So they're saying A is acceptable and U is unacceptable, and they've got 3 technical criteria here. The first one says the offer has no active or inactive exclusions listed in their entity record in SAM. So let me see, it has no active or inactive exclusions. So something that would be excluding them from doing this in SAM. As long as you don't have that, you're fine. And, unless something happened, you're probably not going to. Next, in accordance with FAR, the offer does not have any relevant past performance rated at marginal or unsatisfactory. So they don't want you to have bad past performance in the PPERS system, or have bad CPARS ratings. So they'll double check that. And if you don't, you're good to go on that. And then the offer does not have any relevant terminations for cause or default. So that means, you didn't have any contracts where you're working on them and then something happened and you couldn't finish performing on it. So if you haven't had that happen and got those bad marks, you'll get an acceptable for that. And that's all 3 technical criteria. And to be honest, they're not really making it that hard. Basically, as long as you haven't messed up in the past, you're probably going to get, 3 gold stars. And that's what they're calling for the technical factor. So there's nothing to write to there. If you wanted to include past performance, you could. If you just putting together, stellar proposals to, I don't know, try to develop relationships or something like that. But honestly, I don't think they're looking for it. And, from what I've seen so far, it's not going to be weighted. It's going to be lowest price. So as long as you haven't messed up in the past, you're good to go. So next, they have a price factor. Submission instructions: offerer shall submit a signed SF-1449. Okay, that's what we've been talking about, those first 3 pages. Completed information from the supplemental section and a completed price schedule. So the price schedule is the, it's going to be that Excel sheet that I referenced that we didn't get into yet. Then completed information from the supplemental section, I'm guessing, is the page 3, that continuation sheet thing. So it's kind of shaping up to be exactly what I thought it was. It says, as part of price evaluation, the government will evaluate its option to extend by adding 6 months. And, we kind of already know about that 6-month extension. As part of its proposal, the offeror must provide the estimated total cost incurred to complete CMRA reporting. Evaluation price will not be assigned a rating and will be evaluated to determine if the quoted price is fair and reasonable. Price shall be evaluated as estimated quantities multiple times their respective unit price. Quantities times unit price. That's just goes without saying. That's how you calculate it. We all know that. But they're saying unrealistically low prices. Prices quoted may be reviewed to determine whether they reflect the lack of technical understanding of the requirement. Basically, if you misquote this thing, you got the square footage wrong, you missed a location, or you're missing some sort of scope in the snow plowing itself, that if it's unrealistically low, just because you're the lowest, they may not award it to you if something looks wonky, if something looks off here. So yeah, they're telling you that you're going to be rated with your CPARs, and that you got to have insurance. So they want you to have, looks like 100,000 per accident. You need to have your liability insurance, and if you're in business, you already have that. Next, we're still in this solicitation document, guys. This is going to be probably, I'm sure, by far the largest document. So if it seems like we're spending a lot of time in here, it's going to be most of the time today's episode, I think. So don't get too bored or anything like that. I feel like this is going to take like forever. It'll speed up, and I don't know if you feel that way or not, but I do. I think I'm just talking to myself right now. But they're telling us right here, they gave us the equivalent of a labor or grounds maintenance in terms of like pricing this out. They got a WG3 step 2. So we'll take a look at that wage determination that they've included once we start going through the attachments. Let's just get through the solicitation at first. Next, they're showing us the performance of work statement, the PWS. They've got all the locations. Let me see if there's anything that stops. Like, I want to know what it means to remove snow, like, because that's not just as you think it is. I have some experience in this, and you got to think about salting and sidewalks, and it gets broken down quite a bit. So they have scenario 1. You are called by the facility manager at 9 a.m. on Thursday to plow, and the snow depth at the time is 5 inches. Your plow quantity will be 1. You are called then back at 5 p.m. the same day, and another 12 inches of snow has fallen. The plow quantity will be 2 plows based on the depth of the snow that has fallen since the 1st. So this will be a total of 3 plows for that day. So they're telling us if you go to plow snow, they call you out, come on out, we're snowed in, right? And if it's less than 6 inches, it's considered 1 plow. And then if they do the same thing and they call you out and it's more than 6 inches and it's like a foot of snow, it's going to count as 2 plows. And so you're going to be able to bill out, because my guess is you're going to be billing out based on plows. So you'll be able to double bill if there's twice as, not even if there's twice as much snow, but if you have 7 inches of snow instead of 6, you're going to be able to bill out twice. So that's really, really important. And that's more of like, I guess the definition is going to be useful when you go to price this. But then other than that, when you go to bill out and when you get, the sign off on, when you go out there and you do the work, you usually get a sign off for every time you do the work. Like it's going to be based off of that. So you're going to want to know that. So now they're talking about specific tasks, which is kind of what I was looking for. So they have a general. It's called snow plowing, sidewalk, snow removal will be normally ordered at or near the end of snowfall. When it's done snowing, they're not going to bring you out in the middle of snowing. They're going to wait till it ends. They're talking about salt and sand distribution. So you have to treat plowed and clean surfaces skid-free by applying a contractor finished sand, salt, or approved chemical. It'll be distributed 100 feet before and 100 feet after intersections at any 90-degree curve. I mean, this is very specific stuff, you guys. Then they've got type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and type 6 snow plowing. So they define these all differently. Looks like, they're going to want you to, for type 1, snow plow, salt and sand. Type 2, this looks like it's similar. Type 3, it's just for certain parts of the parking lots. Type 4, looks like there's some ice removal. 5 is regarding ice storms. 6 is for actually removing the snow from the Army Reserve Center. So we're going to see that when it comes out to the pricing. So I'm kind of going through it quickly now so that we can get through this and I can show you some of that more important stuff. Looks like they've got also a type 8 here, end of season cleanup. So contractor shall perform on-call end of season cleanup for spring to clean up any, salt and sand and debris from the sidewalks and the parking lots. So, I mean, that's cool. That's good to know. Those are all like different things that they're going to need you to do if you get this contract. So good information. Looks like there's going to be a pre-inspection checklist or PRS. Basically, the core is, the contracting officer representative, the person who is on ground to enforce the contract, but is not the contracting officer. They're going to have a certain way of evaluating how good of a job you do. So they're kind of going through talking about that. Okay, guys. So now we're at the pricing cleanse. So this is not the pricing spreadsheet yet. So the pricing cleanse, they've got, clean 1, clean 2, clean 3, and then it starts all over again for option year 1, option year 2. So these pricing cleanse, they just have one net amount, like one line, and then on that you would put the aggregate total price for that particular, base or any of the option years. It's just like one number. And my guess is that number is going to calculate in their Excel spreadsheet. And I'm going to open that pretty soon because I'm referring to it so many times. I'm really just kind of getting anxious to go take a peek at that. But aside from that, we've got our delivery schedule. It's telling us, work starts November 1st. We got all these different locations. Well, really, they're just telling us. Yeah, they're actually giving us individual period of performance for all the different locations that will extend out through year 2024. That's insane. That's going to be 2020. So they've got reps and certs here. I talk about reps and certs a lot in my courses. And, it's just something you got to fill out, check the boxes. Not really a big deal. But you don't want to, just leave those blank because they'll call you out on that. Contract clauses. I'm just quickly scrolling here. Wide area workflow stuff. A lot of contract information. Okay, so just at a glance, that's the solicitation. Just scrolled through all 70 pages. And that felt long to me. I don't know about you guys, but it's really, really good information. I hope it was quick enough for you. So what I want to do now is I just want to take a glance at these other attachments, and I'm going to do it really quick. So the first additional attachment is Amendment 1. So we see this is an amendment. We have to actually complete and acknowledge this. So you'll have to submit this as well, this form, because it's an amendment. That way they know that you've seen it. It says that the purpose is to update the offer due date. So they changed the date. And they changed the standard size code from 7.5 million to 8 million. Does that mean they changed the NAICS code? They might. They might have changed the NAICS code, but I don't see a new NAICS code. They're just saying that they changed the size code from 7.5 to 8 million, and then the due date is changed. Huh? It says the due date is changed from September 10th to September 30th. What the heck? I don't know. This is extremely confusing because we are not in September. I would have to submit an RFI question. Am I reading that right? The required response date time has changed from 10 September 19, 10 a.m. to 30 September 2019, 3 p.m. So that doesn't belong in there. That does not, something needs to happen with that. And they've got different names. Like, did they even mean to put this in here? I have big time questions about this. Now they're putting different contracting officer names. There's this Jamie Gregar. Is that the lady? I don't think that was the lady that they added, was it? No, it's Janet Engel. So I don't know who this Jamie Gregar is. So I have some big time questions regarding this First Amendment. But I would have to submit questions on that, you guys, because I don't. Let's see what Amendment 2 is. So now Amendment 2 says the response date was changed from September 30th to October 22nd. Okay, so like they already caught their error. And then the solicitation issue date has changed from 20 August to October 11th. So yeah, they've just tightened that all up. So I feel a lot better. I'm going to basically ignore that First Amendment and take a look at the Second Amendment. And then the set aside has changed from 8A to women owned. So looks like this used to be an 8A contract. And now it's woman owned. And then they go on to, they added Janet Ingle in here now. Good. Simplified acquisition procedures, site visit information. Okay, this is all making sense. This is a lot more in line with what we just went through. Let me see here. Is there anything that they've got this technical factor in here like we already read through? But it does not look like it has changed at all. They're talking about their SAM and their past performance and any terminations for cause. So that's looks like it's all the same. And then in terms of the price factor, complete year 1449, the option to extend 6 months, that's all the same. Evaluation, everything else really looks like it's the same. So they may have made some minor changes. Looks like some of it might be contract type stuff. But okay, so we have to acknowledge this amendment as well in this form, and we have to attach both amendments though. You still have to acknowledge the first one even though it's bogus. You have to acknowledge both and attach those with your submission. That's how you always handle amendments like that, okay? So now, finally, this next attachment is the Excel the Excel pricing sheet. So this is a one-page Excel sheet, and it looks like they've got, they got a lot. They got a lot in here, and looks like their focus is all the different plow types, which I'm glad we went through that. So they've got the plow types 1, 4, 5, 6, and 8. So, and they even put the quantities in there for you, which you basically would, they want you to quote by the quantity, which is awesome, because it would be practically impossible to quote if you don't know how many times they're going to want, to call you out. Usually what they would have to do is give you like a not to exceed number, which is probably what these are. Like, for those of you guys listening on podcasts, you can't see. So Minnesota 2, type 1, snow services, quantity of 14. So they're telling you 14 for plow type 1. And this MN002 is just going to be the location, is my guess. So they've got 02, 05, 11, 8, 42, 44, 48. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we know there's 7 locations, and there's 7 of these different numbers, and then it repeats again. So, yep, this is very, very intuitive. So we know that this is plow type 1 for all the locations, then plow type 4 for all the locations, type 5, type 6 looks like it's just for one of the locations, and then type 8. Yep, okay. So all you would do is they've got a unit price and a total. That's all that they have here. So whatever your rate is, and then it's going to probably auto calculate. Like, I don't know. So yeah, if I put my unit price as $500 for a single type 1, which that's just a random number, it automatically calculates times 14, and that's $7,000. So what we have here is CLIN 1, CLIN 2, and CLIN 3. So CLIN 1 is going to automatically calculate so CLIN 1 is like $44,000, and then let me see, hang on a second. Yeah, okay, if it's $88,000, so here we go. CLIN 1 is $88,000. It automatically calculates additional snow services at 50%, so that'll be $44,000 for CLIN 2, and then your contract manpower reporting, which often you put $0 for, you leave that blank. So they give you the total for the base period, which is 132. So now you have one round number, 132 grand for that, and that's just based off of these random numbers I've pulled. But if we go back into the solicitation, close out these amendments that I had. I think I'm going to have to open it back up. So now when you go to fill this thing out, and we're not going to be doing a proposal template today because there is not one required. Instead, what you have to do is you have to fill out basically everything that I was guessing is pretty close to being accurate. You have to fill out the Excel pricing sheet. You have to fill out the pricing cleanse, and then you have to acknowledge amendments and then fill out the 3-page SF 1449. That's going to complete your proposal response. So I can't really take you through any examples in a proposal template today. There wouldn't be one to submit. So that's okay because we went through the capture questions and we went through this pretty thoroughly today. And every opportunity is different. We learned that this is a simplified acquisition, and often with those there is not a proposal required. So after much scrolling, I've made my way back to the pricing cleanse. So as you see, this is cleanse 001, and they just want one number. So going back to what I was referring to in the Excel spreadsheet, it gives us now one number for the total base period, that 132 grand. So you would just take that number and then add that on the line here in cleanse 1, and then do the same for cleanse 2 and 3. And then, for those of you guys listening on podcast and you can't see, they've got tables broken out in the Excel sheet for the option years and the base years. So they're basically going to spoon feed you this format, and then you just take the numbers and then you plug and chug, and you'll have this thing filled out in no time. The hard part is just going to be, going to the site visit or getting your subs to go to the site visit, getting competitive pricing, and filling out the reps and certs. That's the last thing that you would want to do. So honestly, I would take this whole solicitation form and I would just fill it out, and this would be my proposal response, in addition to acknowledging both amendments and filling out that Excel pricing spreadsheet. So let me see here. I'm just looking for somewhere to write so I can write and show you guys what I'm talking about. Just give me a blank. So this is what you're going to do to respond to this. This is how you respond to this. Complete SF 1449, first 3 pages. Complete pricing cleanse. Complete reps and certs. Then you're going to complete Excel pricing spreadsheet. That's going to be an attachment. And then you're going to acknowledge both amendments 1 and 2. And those will be separate attachments as well. So you're going to have a total of 4. Am I right? Yeah. You have a total of 4 documents that you're submitting to contracting. 2 amendments, unless you go to a PDF and you combine them all or whatever. You can do that if you want. But you're going to have 2 amendments, acknowledgments. You're going to have the Excel pricing spreadsheet. Then you're going to have the entire solicitation that includes the 1449 first 3 pages. And then towards the middle of the 1449, you have the pricing cleanse. And then towards the end, you have the reps and certs. You complete all that. That will be your response. And if you are found to be technically acceptable, then and if your pricing is the lowest, I mean, you're gonna win this bad boy. It's that simple. We just sliced it up, guys. We just busted this whole thing out. And like I said, I don't have a template to fill out for you guys. We're not doing that today. Literally, I'm zooming in here. This is what you need to do to respond to this. So everyone is different. Everyone is different. And this is, a different example. This is simplified acquisition. And that's it. That's it for this snow plowing, example. So that's, what else can I say? I'm trying to say some more, but I don't. If you guys, if you haven't, you'd like to get a free download of my book, Winning Government Contracts. It actually shares my personal government contracting journey from when I got started to, in 5 years, winning 32 federal contracts worth over $15 million. Or if you're interested in any of my GovCon courses, I've got video courses where I show you how to, get set up or, walk through something like this, but in more detail. I have that in my courses as well. I invite you guys listening, if you haven't already, to come join the Facebook community. I think we have almost 400 members now. So this is a group. It's not just like the page, but this is a Facebook group that, it's taken on its own because the individual members are asking each other questions and helping each other out. So that's the thing that I really like to get out there, is because there's only so much that I can do to help you guys, but there's a lot of really smart people in the group. So, links for all of this stuff is going to be in the description of the video, or if you're listening on podcast, I'll have it linked up. You can always check out my website as well, where I have all the resources for everything, as well as, the FBO Live tab for this show, where you can get, copies of the capture questions and proposal templates. I know we didn't do the template today, but you can access the other episodes and play the other episodes as well there. Snow plowing may not be the business that you're in. You may be in staffing or construction or something like that. So, I'll have a lot of videos for a lot of different types of, scopes of work, types of industry. So find the ones that are a match for you, and hopefully, those documents, those downloads can help you out. So that's it for me, guys. Do something today that you will thank yourself for tomorrow, and be blessed. Until next time, we'll see you.